Hello, it's Eddie G's Music World, and feeling a little bit under the weather, but I figured I would give it a shot. Anyway, um, Eddie G's Music World is my show. This is the October 7th, 2019 version, and I'll talk a bit about Ginger Baker passing away. He was a drummer in Cream, had some kind of biography video about his life. And so he'd had a Ginger Baker's Air Force too, and he did other experimental African drum style music as well. So he passed away. He's 80. I'm sure Eric Clapton will have something to say about it at some point, and Howard Stern, who's coming up soon live out of LA. So I'm going to give another look at my show of One Hit Wonders, and I am going to find that and then give that a new discussion. Okay, where is that? Okay, I've got to find it. Let me see where it is. I think I can find it. Here we go. Sorry for the slow motion show prep today. Okay, we're going. These are songs. There was a discussion on a website called Radio Gunk of One Hit Wonders, and people were thinking, well, if they had a number one, and then if they didn't follow it up with the number one, they would be called One Hit Wonders. And people think if it was big, if they had a second hit, but it was like in number 20, then it's not really a hit. But really, it is. You got to look at it realistically. The main way of looking at this thing is whether or not it got to the top 40. So we're going to go with the next one. And I don't remember if I played it or not last week, but I'm going to assume I didn't. And it's called, it's like one of these one hit. These guys really never really did much. John Fred and his Playboy band, and Judy in Disguise was the song. And I'm going to give you a little taste of that song. It was called Judy in Disguise. You might remember it. I actually did play this last week, but I played it again. It's okay. Doesn't hurt to hear a great song like that again. Now, this one, I think it was a number one that I'm going to play for you next. It's the Lemon Pipers. Do you remember this one? And also, it's all in the 60s, this show today. And it had kind of a psychedelic feel to it. And if you knew that song that I just played, Judy in Disguise, you almost for sure know this one. It's amazing how good the quality is of these YouTube songs. People they go and they download music and pay for it. I know it's cruel to do that to your to the artists to listen on YouTube, because they must get like a penny every few thousand listens or something like that. It's really not a fair system anymore. I do feel bad, but I have enough things to pay for, so I don't know if I would bother with paying for it anymore. I paid for enough stuff in my life. Here's a song. It was a one-hit wonder, but no shock there, because it was like a 25-minute song that I don't know if there is a short version of it. Oh, I did find a single version, but it was known for 25 minutes or so, or 18 minutes. I see versions here, 17 minutes and change. But very, very psychedelic, like heavy rock, metal. You've heard this song, whoever's listening or might listen, Inagata de Vida. Very heavy song. Iron Butterfly. This is a heavy song. So people in movies have used this song. I've seen this happen in movies. Okay, let's see what's coming up next on my list. One Hit Wonders. They had a big crack at stardom, and they didn't stick around long enough to become big deals. This one I've heard on commercials for sure, absolutely, without a question. I can't remember what the product was, but hopefully, if any of these guys made a few bucks off of it, it would be a good thing for them. The Human Beings, and the song was Nobody But Me. I think it was 1967 or 8. He's mentioning song dances. Nobody Can Do the Shake and the Boogaloo. Those are dances from the 60s. And I can't remember the product that I've heard this song in. Anyway, if you can think of it, let me know in the comments. This one is not well known at all. The band is called The Clique, Sugar on Sunday. Now, most of the other songs I have known, and this one I probably know too, but not as well as the last one that I played, and the song is called Sugar on Sunday. I can honestly say I don't know that song, which is quite rare because, for the most part, if it made the top 40, I've heard of it. But this one might be one of the exceptions to the rule, and I don't know. But the next song on my list, the guy passed away about 3-4 years ago, is considered a classic, and definitely been in a lot of movies. And if I play it for whoever's listening, I'm going to guess you've heard this song, unless you're like 18 or something. But it's cosmic. It's really, really well done. And this guy disappeared from the top 40 at least. Take a listen. Thunderclap Newman, There's Something in the Air. I wonder if they've been approached by an aerosol company like Febreze or something, because it's something in the air. You spray the Febreze. Okay, I guarantee you, it's not that strange to think of that, because these advertising companies want to play songs that you can relate to and go out and buy their stuff. Now, this one was a real interesting story. The band is called Steam, and it's a well known song, Nana Hey Hey Kiss 'em Goodbye, 1969. The thing about this band is they basically whipped a bunch of studio musicians in a studio to lay down the track, the vocal, and the band never existed. So they spit out the song, like, and of course, everybody was a little. There was a lot of surprising things happening because uh, the band didn't exist, and then it became a massive hit. So what they had to do, they were forced to put together a bunch of people, call them Steam. They weren't on the record because they had to do some shows to make more money out of it. So, sometimes music is a bit of a surprise. You don't expect sometimes the band to be in a band. They're just studio guys throwing stuff around, and then it hits big. Now here's the song. You definitely know this one, and shockingly, they never had another hit. I apologize for taking my headphones off and putting the microphone into the earpiece. It's kind of not the way I'd like to do it. Unfortunately, I'm not good at figuring out technical things that you need to learn to mix stuff together. So I do it the best I can to give you a little taste of the song. You'd think I wonder if they actually did record another few songs. Maybe they called back the musicians and tried to record some stuff and nobody cared, probably. Okay, we're getting to the late times in the 1960s with this list. And this next one on the list is a guy actually contacted to be on my show. You see, what I do is I try once in a while to contact people to come on my show, but I just, it's not an easy thing. But this guy, he didn't reply. And when you think about it, the guy, he still tours. And, it wouldn't have hurt him to come on my show for 15, 20 minutes. But he didn't answer me. Maybe it was just not worth it for him. But he had a great song. It was a high-pitched vocal where he sang kind of, it almost sounded like a woman. But it was a man. His name is Eddie Holman. Had a beautiful song called Hey There, Lonely Girl. And this is the song. Not to put the guy down because let's face it, it's not an easy business. But how the hell do people go out and see a guy who had a hit record 50 years ago, never had another hit, but maybe there was a song that was played and people liked it, and still managed to draw like 50 people? I'm amazed at this guy. I guess he has no choice. He probably didn't make a lot of money in the business. Now, the next one was a #1 smash, massive song, all about the future. Now, I know for a fact that, I emailed one of their children, and he emailed me back, giving me a very pleasant hello, because I think both of these guys, Zager and Evans, are passed away. Whichever one it was, I think it was Zager. I spoke to the son and just said how great a song it was. And it's all futuristic about the way the world is going. And this was like 50 years ago. So some of the things they talk about, like pollution and different issues, are relevant today. Of course, we're never going to see 2525 anyone who's listening to this. But it was 50 years later. These guys never made the charts again. I don't know what happened. Hard to believe you can come up with this song and not another hit, but they did. Here it is. Well, it goes on and on about the future and blah, blah, blah. But listen, I have a request. In case somebody in 2525 is actually finds this show of mine, make a comment that, yes, it still exists, the world, the planet. Because I'll never know that you made the comment, but still, I think that would be fun. Just let whoever's watching the video know that it still exists. We're closing out the 70s. Here's a guy who went on a TV show called Hee Haw, and he was he's a great musician, and he did a lot of comedic stuff, but played great guitar, sang well. But if he was a big star, but he just never had a lot of hits. Maybe in the country world, I have a feeling this guy did have hits in the country music world, because that's the kind of style that he had. And I think he just passed away not that long ago, a few years. But it is a beautiful song. Yesterday when I was young. Right, 50 years ago, you were talking about yesterday when you were young. You had a lot of life left in you, and you managed to get old. But pretty sure you're no longer with us. But that's okay. Here's an anthem, a hippie anthem. Played a lot, and I know this has also been on in commercials. And the guy didn't really stick around the pop world. He was more a folky, hippie type of guy. But this was a beautiful song. Well done. Played a lot to this day. You hear it on ads, you hear it in movies. It's considered a classic. Here you go. It's a long intro, and I'm not about to play the whole thing. Um, his name was Jesse Colin Young, and the band was called the Youngbloods, and that was their big song. The next song is the late 60s, closing out the 60s, and it was one of these sad, sad songs. Not, no, I'm mixing it up with a different song. But it's more of a happy song because I mixed up this band with another band. It's called More Today Than Yesterday, Spiral Staircase. And I have seen something about these guys, like they still were touring into the 90s type of thing. Only with one song. Imagine. They're just like, an oldies scene. There's an oldies scene out there. And these kind of bands, they don't really get a lot of follow-up songs. So They played the one that they're known for, and maybe a couple more, and that's all they can really do. But this was a really definitely worthwhile hit that they had. I actually think this is a live version because it's one of those things where it's set up to look live, what I just played, and there's a little bit of a different take of the song, so maybe it is live. But a long time ago, this song came out for sure. We're going into the 1970s, people, the modern years. Okay, this will be some songs where I was a bit older, and I do recognize them. Now, this next song was a massive hit twice by the original band and by Bananarama. So some of you might know, based on that description, um, what song it is, because this one is definitely in commercials for like razors, stockings. I don't know what it is. It's in a lot of commercials. One or two, and it still plays to this day on TV. This song, and Bananarama did have a big song with it too. Yes, definitely upbeat, full of energy. I think they were Swedish or Dutch, Norway, one of those faraway countries. And there was a woman singing, as you heard, and two other guys. A little bit more down the list, we see the Ides of March vehicle. Now, this guy is not really a one-hit wonder because the lead singer, he went on to be the main guy in Survivor. So it's kind of, it's technically the band Ides of March was a one-hit wonder, but the singer or the guitarist, I think he played guitar. He went on to be in Survivor, who had a good 8 or 9 songs. So you got to kind of make an exception, say that they were a one-hit wonder, but then the member went on to better things and bigger things, which is why when I started writing my book, which is kind of just a bunch of notes, I always made sure when there was the list of one-hit wonders to see if any members went on to do other hits, and then I would disqualify them. But I never got that book done, published, and Billboard did, and it wasn't using my technique at all. Here's the song, Ides of March, Vehicle. Kind of a early Chicago sound. The man's name is Jim Penerick. He wrote "Eye of the Tiger" among other songs. So he had a great career after this. Good for him. See, it's not all based on the one hit for him. And the next guy on the list was in a band. It's also a bit confusing because it's Eric Burdon and War. Now, Eric Burdon When he was in the Animals, they had a good 10, 12 hits. And War, they got together. And War had a good 10 hits, 9, 8, whatever it was. So you get two acts that are from like War shouldn't really be considered a one-hit wonder because they weren't. But because they're looking at the pairing of Eric Burdon and War as a one-hit wonder, it's very misleading and very unfair. I did see the Animals live about 15 years ago, but they didn't do this one because probably it wouldn't make sense because he was touring as the Animals, and wouldn't really make sense to try to cover that song. Although they could have done it. It was a bunch of non-Animal members. Anyway, it was Eric Burdon with session musicians, basically, or new Animals members. But this one got a lot of airplay back in the day when I was 10. I do remember hearing it a lot. Spill the Wine, Dig That Pearl. And if you ask me to explain what Dig That Pearl means, I just don't understand. I can't tell you. Okay, you see the band with Eric Burdon playing together. So look, it was like the togetherness of the song never happened again as far as hits go. Now the next guy I will end the show on this guy. Here's a guy that I've read. He makes a living off of this song, just this song, because he only had a couple of minor songs after that. It's Norman Greenbaum, Spirit in the Sky. Now, let me tell you, this was a hit for Doctor and the Medics in the 90s, I think it was, or late 80s, and countless movies. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've heard Spirit in the Sky in a movie. And not just that, commercials. They use it in but they say he lives on a farm and he just lives off of this. But then I saw about a year ago, there was a video of him hanging around in San Francisco, and he looked kind of rough. Looked like he just looked like he was down and out. So maybe all this story about him making all this money off of Spirit in the Sky, maybe it just didn't get that far, and he didn't really make like as much as I expected. And maybe he needs to work, like maybe do a few shows here and there to pick up a few bucks. I don't know. But here it is, the classic we all know. Nobody doesn't know this. It's been played many, many millions of times. Millions, not one or two. 100,000, millions. Here it is. It's got a classic fuzz tone guitar, identifiable. You would think the guy had other songs, but he just didn't. And there was another song that kind of, what was it? Something about eating something. I don't know. It was just, it didn't do that good. And obviously, that was it for him. But the guy is doing whatever he can to stay alive, to live off of that. And that's the end of my show for this week. Eddie G's Music World. We're looking at Wonder Wonders. We're early in the 1970s, and we're keeping ourselves going. I hope I feel a little better. And yeah, my stomach gets a little better because currently it's not the greatest. But I'm happy to have done my show, and for the few people that do listen, I appreciate it very much. Eddie G's Music World. Thank you very much for being around. Take care.